The group Midas Touch is out with a brand new ad that really puts into perspective Donald Trump's failures in dealing with the coronavirus crisis. Take a look.
This is their new hoax.
The 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero. A lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat. One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear.
The hope is that by July, the country's really rocking again.
Slow the testing down, please.
And because we do more tests, we have more cases. It is what it is. A pandemic, which is disappearing. It's going to disappear.
All right, so not bad, right? So that's using his own words. I always enjoy when they do that because it's, let's just say it's a target-rich environment. It is what it is. It is what it is. Oh, okay, 160,000. I'm sorry, 165,000 Americans are dead, but it is what it is. Huh? Wow. But I thought it was a great use of sports here. So I know some of you might be into the sports, which I'm not, which is obvious. But look. The reason that's relevant is because there actually is, as a result of coronavirus, going to be a lot less sports. And for example, college football is, for the most part, getting canceled. On Sunday, ESPN first reported that Big Ten presidents, following a meeting on Saturday, were ready to cancel the fall sports season. And they wanted to gauge whether commissioners and university presidents and chancellors from the other Power 5 conferences, the ACC, Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC, would fall in line. They ended up doing so, with many of them saying that they would hope to come back in the spring. Pac-12, as I said, also did so. Officials with the ACC and SEC have indicated that they plan to proceed with their seasons this fall, but we're not entirely sure what's going to happen, right? So at best, there's going to be some teams, maybe some games, maybe. But even so, it looks like there might be some people that are bored this fall as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, which has killed over 165,000 Americans with no sign of slowing down. And so actually, Dr. Fauci is actually saying that we're on track to having a terrible fall. Not good. Not good at all, right? It's only going to get worse. You know why? It's because we have no national strategy for COVID-19. While, of course, the rest of the world has at least minimized deaths and transmissions. And yet, countries are still having outbreaks. For example, New Zealand is having a new outbreak despite previously eliminating the virus from the island. So understand, even if you get rid of it, you still have to continue social distancing and wearing masks if you want to make sure to protect everyone and to basically stay, to have the coronavirus stay away. And so, I mean, that's what they're doing. What are we doing? Nothing. Not at all. Nothing. And so, here's the interesting thing, right? This kind of shows that, regardless of the president, our pastimes are going to be ruined by this virus, by the pandemic. That sucks. That sucks a lot. Now, if we had a competent president, we wouldn't be pushing people into dying. We would have, lower deaths and lower new cases. We'd have stronger contact tracing. We would have, of course, healthcare for everybody who does get sick and all that. And so, unfortunately, we don't have a competent government. Instead, they're saying, reopen the schools. What's the worst that can happen? Send everybody back to work. What's the worst that can happen? Let's make sure that people have to vote in person if they want to vote in the election. What's the worst that could happen? I don't know. Coronavirus? I'm just saying. So, look, the rest of the world seems to get it. And even though there are spikes in other places, the United States still leads in new cases and deaths. So it looks like we cannot go back to normal. And it looks kind of like until there's a vaccine, the world cannot go back to normal. Unfortunately, as I said, our leadership wants to die for Wall Street. So, yeah. And by the way, I know there's always to talk about, oh, what about the businesses? What about the small businesses? They want to open. Actually, there are a lot of small business owners that want to wait to reopen until it's safe for them and their customers, right? But these same people will be forced to reopen because there's no income support, no support from the federal government. And look, Mitch McConnell just went home. The Senate just went home for another month. Like, they just decided that they were going to fuck off until September 8th. And that's it. We got no COVID bill, right? We got no money for the states. We got no money for the post office. We got no stimulus checks. We've got no expanded unemployment benefits. They just decided, we can't come to a deal. We can't agree, so we're just going to leave. See you guys later. Oh, yeah. You're just going to retire to your second home, right? And then go beg donors for money on the phone. Wow. Yeah. Real leadership, guys. Real leadership. So that's what's going on here. Now, as far as the ad is concerned, another thing that it does point out that it kind of gives perspective to is that it kind of shows what the death toll is like. All right. Now, a lot of people tend to not be able to imagine 165,000 people dead. Like they can't fathom it and understand, right? That it is pretty hard for a person to conceptualize that much death. And it gets even harder as the numbers get bigger. But unfortunately, they will get bigger. So when you look at a stadium, for example, that stadium in Ohio, I believe holds about 104,000 people. So 165,000, that's more than just that one studio, packed full of dead bodies. And so understand, like, when you see that, representation really does put it in perspective. Okay. And again, the numbers will get bigger because, as I said before, we have no plan. Every state is kind of on their own. We've got no leadership at the national level, and because the federal government has all but abandoned them. And of course, unfortunately for states, they don't have the money to continue to help their constituents, even if they want to, be able to battle this. And so this is a terrible situation. And then you have the looming housing crisis as well. Up to 28 million people are in danger of losing their homes in the middle of a pandemic. So this is what's going on in this country. And really, when you think about it, this, the effectiveness of this ad in really putting in things into perspective, I think they do a pretty good job. So nice work, Midas Touch.